Ja. Okay.
What does this cost the village? This cost the village a whole lot of money.
Yeah, not for we already know.
Make sure you talk about that in the announcement.
Okay. That's why I pulled it out.
Turn it on. It's in the off position, but I'll turn it on. Oh, Mr. Murphy, you here? Oh, I know it's on now. Oh, you got something for me? Cookies, cakes? Oh, money. Oh. Yeah.
A regular committee of the whole meeting, we are going to have a special meeting in regards to a bond issue. Let the record reflect that it is 6:37. Notice of special meeting Monday, June 16. Notice hereby given that at the call of the Mayor Rogers and the Village Board of Trustees will hold a special meeting at the Village Hall, 14122 Chicago Road, Dolton, Monday, June 18th at 6:30 p.m. I'd like to call this special meeting to order. Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Here.
Trustee Stubbs?
Here.
Trustee House?
Here.
Trustee Denton?
Present.
Trustee Pearson?
Present.
Trustee Henyon? Absent.
Trustee Henry notified she will not be at tonight's meeting. Okay, we have a quorum. 5 members of the board are here. Our department heads, our attorney, and our village clerk. Why don't we stand for our pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would remain standing, ask Elder Creighton to lead us in prayer tonight.
Every head is bowed and every eye is closed. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for this opportunity to see another day. We thank you, God, that in the midst of everything, things are as well as they are. We ask now, God, in the name of Jesus, that you would bless this meeting, bless the mayor, trustees, clerk, all those that you called to care for this fine building. Now, God, we ask that everything be done decent and in order, and that you get all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory. And all God's people said, amen.
Amen. Okay, for the special meeting, old business, there is none. And new business. Can I get a motion to accept ordinance number 18-008?
I make a motion to accept ordinance number 18-008.
Second.
I wasn't done yet. Authorizing and providing for the issuance of a $1,300,000 general obligation bond, Series 2018 of the Village of Dolton, Cook County, Illinois, for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal interest on said bonds and approving a tax escrow agreement. Now it's been motioned and seconded to accept this ordinance. Any discussion on this? No discussion. Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee
Okay.
Henyard is absent.
Okay, 5 ayes, motion carries. Now, on the agenda is a brief section here for a citizen's address, and this would only be dealing with this special meeting issue. So if anyone would like to address this issue, they can approach the podium. Okay. I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the special board meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been motion and second to adjourn the special board meeting. Roll call.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to adjourn at 6:41. Now I'd like to call to order the meeting of the regular Board of Trustees for the Committee of the Whole, Monday, June 18th. We'll take the roll.
I can do it this way. Trustee Muhammad?
Here.
Trustee Stubbs?
Here.
Trustee House?
Here.
Trustee Denton?
Present.
Trustee Pearson?
Here.
Trustee Hanyard? Absent.
Absent. Okay, let the record reflect that our Board of Trustees is 5 here. We have a quorum. We also have our department heads. And for the sake of moving forward, we've already done the Pledge of Allegiance and said our prayer. So the next thing on the agenda is general announcements.
I have one general announcement, which is on August 4th, the Dolton Park District will be doing their annual back to school. We'll have 2 representatives. I'll ask if they can come and speak from the Park District on the event and let the community know what's happening.
Good evening.
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 Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Sam Hill. I'm program coordinator for the Dolton Park District. And this is Mr. Artis Pope, Director of Recreations for the Dolton Park District. I think I'll take it off. Is that better? Okay. And we just like to let everybody know that on August the 4th is our back to school event, and it's going to be a great event. And one of the things that we added this year, which is going to be a lot of fun, not only are we going to be passing out backpacks and school supplies, having physical for the kids, dentists will be doing dental exam for the children as well, haircuts and things like that. But one of the attractions that we're really proud of is our first annual police department versus the fire department softball game. So we want everybody to come out for that.
Yes, just to key in on what Mr. Hill has said, the back to school event begins at 11 a.m. on Saturday, August 4th. We're inviting everyone to come out to show their support. We will have the softball game beginning at a time of 1:30. It is the police and the fire, along with Public Works and Dolton Park District. So please come out, show your support, show your love for these children, and we will greatly appreciate it.
Oh, also this Saturday at the Dolton Park District, we'll have Chicago Playground Legends. It's a weekend affair, which will begin Friday, June the 22nd. We'll have a celebrity game. The first game Friday will be a game for kids, $2 for adults, $2 for kids and $6 for children. Then Saturday, it's going to be a reunion beginning at 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. And it's a basketball game for Legends of the Playground game. Unfortunately, I can't play because my back is bad. I used to be a pretty decent basketball player. My dad played for the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA, and I played for Iowa State. So we want everybody to come out and enjoy all the festivities this weekend for our Legends basketball game.
Hey, Chief, we got to win that.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
All right, thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I be recognized? I have a few announcements.
Go ahead, Trustee.
Good evening, everyone, and happy belated Father's Day to all you fathers. Hope you had a great time. Located at the fire department on Park Avenue, some of the trustees and myself donated some fans. So if you know any seniors who is in need of a fan, they can pick up a free fan at the Fire Department. And also, please, please go and check on your seniors. You can pick up the phone, call them, just do a well-being check to make sure, because it's so hot outside, and make sure that they are okay. I have another announcement. Saturday, July 14th, 2018. Time 12 to 2 p.m. Invest in Dolton. The trustees of the Village of Dolton presents village employees and you who are looking to live in our community of Dolton to come out to the housing fair where you can walk away with a home of your own for less than $50,000. Not on that day. We will give you information and applications on how to do so. And you can ask all the questions that you would like at that particular time for Invest in Dolton. Also, I would like to announce Pro Champ. We received a check in the amount that was the company that we hired for housing to collect monies on abandoned property through the registrar. We have a check, $9,720 that we have collected. Thank you. That's the end of my announcements.
Phone number, location.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me give you a phone number that you can call for Invest in Dolton. You can RSVP at 708-888-0341, and that's 44, and that's Saturday, July 14th, 2018, from 12 to 2 p.m. We have flyers if anybody need a flyer, and the location of that event is New Zion Covenant Church, 14200 Chicago Road. Thank you.
Mayor, I have a couple of announcements. Can I be recognized, please?
Go ahead.
The first one is a very personal one with me and our first responders. I have an 80-year-old sister that stays with me. She's a what you would call a stroke victim. And we had a long day yesterday. My other great niece got married. And so my sister June, who raised me, she's 80 years old, she had an episode last night, getting out the car, putting her in the wheelchair. My niece and my great nephew didn't know what the matter was. I told my nephew to call 911. Very shortly after, the Dolton police showed up. I was a little perturbed because I was looking for ambulance. I was looking for EMT. But the officer informed me that the police officers assist the ambulance and the fire department, depending on the situation. Shortly thereafter, the ambulance came. And by it being my sister, I call myself taking charge to get her on the gurney and get her into the ambulance. They took total control of the situation. They were professional from A to Z. The Dolton Police Department, the Dolton Fire Department, and Buds. And I wanted to give their accolades because oftentimes what we do in our small village, we weaponize politics, we weaponize religion, we weaponize our opinion of things. But I think we should give accolades, attaboys, thumbs up anytime that the first responders do what they do naturally. They took my sister into the ambulance, gave the vitals, asked which hospital she'd like to go to, took her there immediately, professional. I told the chief that I didn't want to embarrass him, so I let him know that I was going to do this because we don't generally do this. We usually tend to complain, but that's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here to hear complaints and resolve complaints. But this is one that hit me personal, the way that they responded to my sister, did what they did, and I said I got to give them kudos. So I want you all, if you could, just give a hand for the Police Department of Dolton, Buds Ambulance, and the Fire Department. I know we always take them for granted because I usually get irritated with all three because you got to move out of the way when they're trying to get somewhere so that for them to get by, and that's the only time I really think of them, but that's the one time I want to give them credit. The second one, which is, the clerk can help me out on this, I guess there was a clerical error that was an item to be on the agenda, but she said we can discuss it. Is this the time to do that, clerk? For the grass cutter, not the machine, but the actual company.
Trustee, that would be under purchase of grass cutter, which is
Okay, I'll save it for that.
my misunderstanding. But since you brought it up, Superintendent Stacy has notified me that he is taking off the item of purchase of the grass cutter machine, but instead you certainly are allowed under the rules, and the trustees are allowed under the rules to discuss that matter under item 3.
Yes, ma'am. I'll save it for item 3. Other than that, that would be it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, order of business number 1 is tag day.
Excuse me, Mayor, I have one.
Go ahead.
Just to remind everyone that the board and residents that the trustees voted late last year on their schedule of meetings for this year. Normally, the Board of Trustees meets on the first and third Monday of the month, and typically the board chooses not to meet twice a month in July and August. So pursuant to the board schedule that was approved, I just want to remind everyone, or let everyone know, that as of now, there will be no meeting on July 2nd, which is the first Monday of July. The next scheduled board meeting is July 16th. There will be no meeting on August 6th, which is the first meeting. I'm sorry, there will be a meeting on August 6th. As much as I keep trying to make a note, I mess it up myself. So let me repeat. No meeting on July 2nd. The next meeting will be July 16th. That will be that is the scheduled meeting for July. There will be a meeting on August 6th, which is the first Monday of August, and there is no meeting scheduled for August 20th. And of course, we will send out notices to everyone to remind you, but just a heads up on that. And also, trustees, since the next scheduled meeting is July 16th, I do want to get confirmation that, because that's a scheduled COW date, Committee of the Whole date, that instead of the Committee of the Whole, it will be a regular board meeting. We don't need a vote on that. Pursuant to the ordinance that was passed for the Committees of the Whole, the board may elect to have a regular meeting, but I just want to make sure there is a consensus. And given that we won't be meeting we're not scheduled to meet elsewhere in July, and there are important matters coming up, I just wanted to get everyone's consensus that the July 16th meeting, the next scheduled meeting, will be a regular board meeting.
I have a question for the clerk or the attorney. So I understand the meeting that will be held July 16th will not be a COW meeting. It will be a regular board meeting?
That's what I'm asking for confirmation.
Okay. Is there an ordinance to that effect? Attorney, maybe you can chime in on that one, because it's the first time.
Actually, I can't answer that because I think I just did. The ordinance allows the board to designate, instead of a scheduled COW meeting, when issues present themselves, to have a regular board meeting instead.
That's if the regular board meeting is canceled or scheduled, no meeting. Is that within the ordinance?
That's any time the board sees fit.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Okay.
So I understand then it's consensus of everyone that the July 16th meeting will be a regular board meeting. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is that it? Okay, next thing on the agenda is item, item 1, tag days request for the Dolton Bears football and Dolton Elite basketball. Village Clerk, you put this on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These are two separate applications from Dolton Bears football and Dolton Elite basketball. Dolton Bears is asking for a 3-day tag day event beginning on Friday, June 22nd through the weekend. And Dolton Elite, and I hope you have these before you, is asking for the same thing beginning the weekend of June 29th. Because this is a committee of the whole, and in the recent past, the board has decided on approval by a consensus. I would ask for a consensus on one or the other or both.
Anybody?
I'm okay with the tag day.
For both?
I'm in agreement with it.
For both
Yes, for both.
Yes to both.
Both.
I concur.
Trustee Pearson?
I'm okay.
All right. Okay. Looks like we have a consensus on both days, Dalton Bears and Dalton Elite Basketball Team. For the first weekend, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th for Dalton Bears. And then the last weekend of the month, the 29th to 30th, and July 1st for the Dalton Elite Basketball Team. Those days will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, we have a consensus on that. Next thing on the agenda is request to reduce the collection box permit fees. Madam Clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is a request by Ms. Jory Hampton, who is a representative of the Gaia Movement, an organization that has placed collection boxes in the village in the past. The board passed an ordinance in 2016 which regulated placement of those boxes, and pursuant to that ordinance established a $250 per box fee for any nonprofit. It was limited to nonprofit organizations only who wish to place collection boxes within the village of Dolton. And the Gaia Movement is requesting that that fee, and pursuant to the letter sent to the mayor and trustees, which is in your packet, that they are requesting that that fee of $250 per box be eliminated, or if not eliminated, reduced to approximately $50 per box.
Did you say that there was a provision in there for nonprofit?
The collection box ordinance only allows nonprofit organizations to have collection boxes within the village.
If I recall, one of the reasons that we did put this ordinance in place was the fact that everybody was dropping, not everybody, but a huge number of entities were dropping collection boxes all over the village. Some of them had identifying marks on them, some of them did not. But a lot of them failed to maintain those boxes and empty them on a regular basis. In some cases, people were going through the boxes, taking what they wanted out of the boxes and leaving them on the ground. So I asked our superintendent and Brian Thigpen, one of our code enforcement officers, to go around and take pictures. And it seemed like on rainy days that even when some of those boxes were collected, they left the wet materials or left the wet clothing outside and never picked them up. So we wanted to put something in place in regards to the enforcement of and the regulation of those boxes. So and I kind of took a look on the internet in regards to this. Is there anybody here representing this matter?
I did notify the requester that the board would be discussing this evening.
Right. I took a look on the internet, and this particular group sell their clothing for profit, and they have outlets all over, I think, or a large portion of the country. So I didn't think when we put this ordinance in place, a $250 box fee was outrageous, because it actually boils down to what is it, over a 12-month period, 20 bucks or something, a little bit over $20 a month. In the receiving revenues from the items that they collect. So it's up to the board what they want to do on this.
At this point, because it's a committee of the whole meeting, it would just be for discussion only. If the board wished to take any action, it would be at the next scheduled meeting.
Any discussion on this? So what does that mean?
If no one wants to put the measure forward, it will not be on the agenda for amendment.
Okay, next item is the purchase of a grass cutter, which is going to be removed.
And then Trustee Muhammad wanted to address the issue of grass cutting as well.
Okay.
Can I be recognized, Mayor?
Go ahead, trustee.
Yeah, if everybody could bear witness, we've had a lot of rain lately, and the village of Dolton has 2 grass cutters. And we, as a board, don't feel that's enough. We already have a young man that's cutting the grass for the village entities, which would be the old village hall, and I would assume this particular new village hall and maybe the Melanie Fitness Center. I'd like to get a consensus vote to add Mr. Eric Stallworth to this, who is the owner of Prestige Grass Cutter, so we can have 3 grass cutters. It does not affect the budget. They just divide the money evenly among 3 contractors. He's already contracted with the village to do the village properties. He would also do the residential properties.
I'm in agreement.
After, I'm sorry.
Anyone else?
After riding around looking at the village, the abandoned houses, some houses are not abandoned, just appear to be abandoned. And if there is no extra cost and they split the monies, then I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Is this the same person that the board took off for grass cutting last year?
Yes, it is, Mayor.
So now you want to reinstate him? And and I don't understand when you, Trustee Stubbs, you talk about no extra costs.
That's what the trustee just stated to me and to the rest of us, that there was no extra cost. They would just take the amount of houses and divide it among 3 people at the same cost, everything that they have on their list.
So right now, the houses that are awarded to the 2 individual landscapers or the contractors, they will be split 3 ways instead of 2 ways? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. For the same cost. You know what they're charging per cost, per cut now? Trustee Pierce, do you know what they're charging per cut now?
I believe it's $25 per house.
Okay. So we have to notify housing that it's going to be cut 3 ways now.
Yes.
Okay.
Miss Fields has been made aware. She just was getting a consensus from the board. The minute she got a consensus from the board, she was going to do that once she got official word.
Okay, so is everybody good with that?
I agree.
Okay. You got a consensus on that. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the adoption of certain provisions of the Illinois Motor Vehicle Code and providing for administrative adjudication for the village of Dolton. Chief, is this what you were telling me about earlier? Okay, so it's been put on by Trustee Pearson. Chief, you want to explain this?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. What I'm proposing is under actually the guidance of the Public Safety Committee is an ordinance to adopt certain provisions of the Illinois Vehicle Code. So what I want to explain is that this is not new laws. These are laws that are already being enforced by the police officers on the street. So currently, when an officer writes a citation, he writes it on what's called a state ticket. A state ticket is under the Illinois Illinois Vehicle Code. So any fines that are derived from that violation are split with the village, with the county, and with the state of Illinois. So a very small amount of fines actually return to the village. The village, being a home rule community, can adopt certain provisions of the Illinois Vehicle Code, which are called equipment violations. So the things like your speeding and your stop signs will always be written on a state ticket, and you may end up having to go to Markham to have those adjudicated. But equipment violations, and it's in the provision, you should have a copy in your packets. It gives a list of what those equipment violations also are. So with it being in the village, anytime an officer writes a citation for one of these, 100% of those fines return back to the village. Now, obviously, there are no violators in this room, so you have nothing to worry about, right? However, the violators out there, the ones that do violate the law, they'll end up having to pay a fine, but it won't have to be going to the county, and it won't have to go to Illinois, state of Illinois. It'll return 100% to the village. And I can take some questions on this.
Well, one of the things you might want to explain, Chief, is that routinely police officers stop trucks and they usually get equipment violations, but automobiles are also subject to equipment violations.
That is correct.
Tires, windshield wipers, headlights, horn, those type of things, equipment violations that you may be subjected to if you're stopped. And if you are given a ticket, those fines come back to the village.
Yes, that is all correct.
So there are equipment violations that you should be aware of, and make sure that you check your vehicle out so you won't be subjected to those type of fines or violations or citations.
So again, I just want to stress these are not new laws. These are already being enforced. However, if we move forward on this, the enforcement and the fines can come to the village instead of being split 3 ways.
Yeah, now,
I'm in an agreement.
Our attorney just mentioned the fact that really a lot of times the courts don't like to spend time on equipment violations because they do take up a lot of time. Okay, anyone?
Any questions?
Yeah, my thought was what percentage of police activity actually is dedicated to doing that? I mean, is this something that was really done, or it's just something we're just gonna pass and let it be on the books that that's what we're doing, but nobody's really out there doing that?
The officers enforce the violations that they observe, and within this list are things that they also observe. The downside is when they do something, they write it on the state ticket, like I explained, and when it goes to Markham, or if it's paid through the mail, unfortunately, that fine is just split 3 ways. So these are things that officers are already currently doing. It's not something that's being tacked on to what they're doing.
And those, I'm sorry. And those officers also, they won't have to go to Markham Court anymore, or would they? Did they still have to go to Markham Courthouse?
They will always still have to go to Markham
Okay.
for other violations, like I explained, like the speeding, stop signs, suspended driver's licenses. They will always still have to appear in court. But with these compliance tickets, if they need to appear, it will be locally in our own courtroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if an equipment violation is issued in connection with the violation that would go to Markham, they would write both of those tickets for Markham. For instance, an accident or a moving violation for speeding, and then they write your ticket for the equipment violation. So if they're going to write the primary ticket for a mover that goes to Markham, they'll write both of them there rather than split them between 2 court calls. Right?
All the violations would go to Markham, however, they still would be responsible for the village ordinance ticket.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
So we'll put this on for the 16th. We got a consensus on this. Next thing on the agenda is the South Suburban Land Bank Trustee House.
Okay, I think the land bank is something that has been mentioned a few times. It's something that I want to just bring up for discussion to see if there's consideration that this can be added to supplement processes that we already have in place. The land bank is something that is a zero cost to the village of Dolton and has capabilities to do commercial properties as well as residential. So I wanted to see if this is something the board would consider adding in addition to other opportunities that we do for putting houses back on the tax.
May I be recognized, Mayor?
Go ahead, Trustee.
Trustee House, BP Capital is at no cost to the village also. So I like the fact that we have 18 houses right now in a 6-month span, and I would like to stay on that path.
I would say that BP Capital is costing us because we have a village attorney here, and the board chose to go out and get another attorney to file for demolition or abandonment of those houses, and those houses are shipped to BP Capital. So there is a cost, and there's also another cost. The village is currently getting not one penny from BP Capital as they sell these houses, and the profits from those houses go to BP Capital. Now, in some of the other towns, when those houses are processed for abandonment or demolition and they're sold, the village reaps some revenues from the sale of those houses. But in this case, when the board passed it, they said, well, it'll go back on the tax rolls. Well, you know, it could go back on the tax rolls maybe a couple of years from now, but the immediate relief that we would get from that revenue from the sales of those houses, and fine, if BP wanted to take a percentage of those sales, it's fine. But I think we should equally enjoy some of the revenues that are coming from those houses, and that's not being done right now.
Mayor, to my knowledge, it wasn't done with South Suburban Land Bank, and if it was, then I would like to see the documentation on that. And notwithstanding, BP Capital is putting up its own monies, not one dime from the village go towards the attorney that he hired. He hires the attorney. He chose the attorney of his choice. He pay him out of his own pocket. But he's also here today. He can speak for himself coming up in item 7.
Okay.
And
Go
so if you have, and I would like to know today, what monies in the 3 years that South Suburban Land Bank had the contract, how much monies did the village of Dolton receive from the sale of the properties that they sold, and that included commercial also?
Okay. First of all, the properties that we gave the land bank were the properties were in total disrepair. Now, what BP Capital is doing, they're taking all the good houses that need very little repair, and they're selling those. Now, some of these houses that we can give them, they haven't touched them. The ones that have been dilapidated and have been there abandoned for years. And getting back to what the land bank did, they sold a property that used to be the old Dusty where we got $310,000 from. And they put a business there, the Taco Bell.
Mayor, if I could be recognized.
Go ahead, trustee.
My intent on this was nothing. It was to have another tool that we can add into the process that will not cost us anything. So this is not about money coming back to the village or BP Capital or any other entity. I think it's something at zero cost to us that we can have another tool in our belt.
So you, trustee, you don't...
Trustee.
Trustee, so you're not interested in us getting any type of revenue from the sale of these properties?
I would love to get revenue from the sale of the properties if that's possible.
So in answer to your question, Trustee Stubbs, we received $310,000 from the sale of the Dusty properties that had tons of taxes due on it. The land bank wiped those taxes off. We sold that portion of the property for $310,000, which was immediate revenue for the village. Mr. Murphy?
They didn't give us any monies.
Mr. Murphy?
They didn't give us any monies. They took the taxes off of it. They sold our property. The property had belonged to us.
Mr. Murphy, you know anything about this?
Excuse me. I believe what Trustee House is talking about. No,
I'm talking about the sale of the Dusties.
Oh, well, Dusty's was a piece of property that the village had that had a lot of back taxes on it, that the land bank was able to work with the village successfully to remove the taxes, and we sold the property and we made the money, and we're getting the sales tax. So it was a success.
Mayor, can I speak?
So now you said that BP Capital took 18 houses and we haven't got one dime from any of the sales. Go ahead, Trustee Pearson.
We didn't receive any of the monies from
Go ahead, Trustee
the property at Dusty's either.
Go ahead, Trustee Pearson.
I just think that what you're doing here is comparing apples to oranges. That was our property, and we wanted to sell it, and it had taxes. This is a totally different situation. When you compare it to what the land bank, South Suburban Land Bank did, that's the same type program, and we did not get any money from there. I don't know why you keep telling the residents that the land bank gave us money. Nobody said anything when the land bank had it. That really bothers me that nobody wanted two companies. Nobody. nobody had a problem. Nobody stood up and said the land bank was ripping us off because they're not giving us money. And now we have somebody who's putting up his own money, and he's putting people in these houses.
Why should we not get any money from any of the abandoned homes?
Why didn't you say that when the land bank was doing it?
We only gave I think 5 or 6 houses to the land bank, and they were in such deplorable condition. They held them for so long, nobody even wanted to buy them. Why don't BP Capital take some of these ones that's been abandoned for 15 years? They're not taking any of those.
Mayor, that was 14 houses.
It wasn't 5.
And other properties that the land bank took the taxes off of. We didn't receive one dime.
That's not true.
We didn't receive one dime, Mayor. The property on Sibley, where the Taco Bell sit, was our property in the first place.
What does that have to do with it?
I'm just stating.
Did we get revenue or not?
You're saying that.
Do we get revenue or not?
We get the money. We're making him give us the money, but the land bank never came in. You never talked about what was going on. And here this man came into town and wanted to do this for us so we could have home ownership in our community, put the houses back on the tax roll. And you've been dogging him ever since he came to town, saying that the program will not work, and I've seen it work. Right here on 154th and Cottage Grove, the young lady, we went over there. She purchased a house. The house was a complete gut. He used his own monies. He's put his own monies up. He's using his own monies to obtain the attorney that he have. Whether he have Mr. Magoo or Bowinkle for his attorney, it don't make any difference. He's paying the money. So I don't understand what's the problem. All you all sit up here and say, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. You don't want it to work. But through my faith in God, this is going to work, and we're going to put these houses back on the tax roll. We're going to have home ownership instead of renters, investors, and we're going to make our community great again.
Thank you. Amen.
You heard from those 2 people that came up here last board meeting, didn't you?
Also, I talked to those people after the meeting. I've talked to them since then. The young man, I talked to him on the telephone with the $85,000 in back taxes. Today, I understand he's in the room today, and maybe he could tell his story, the truth. Same thing with Ms. Slaughter. That was untrue. And the truth will be said tonight, and let the truth set us free and put these houses back on the tax roll, because didn't nobody take or try to strong arm anybody for their houses. If a house is across the street from a school, Ms. Slaughter, if you're in the room tonight, and it needed boarded up, and you didn't provide that service for a house to be boarded up. They've been finding young girls in garages, and the garage was burned up, the garage was open, and all they did was provide a service to board up the property. And what was told last week was an untruth. And hopefully tonight, because there's always 3 sides to every story, yours, theirs, and the truth. And let the truth come out about that house that's across the street from that school, because I don't want to see, that's Diekman School, I don't want to see a kid in the garage dead like they've been finding these women and young kids around here.
That's got nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Everything to do with
it. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Because it was across the street from the school. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
She had back taxes, still have back taxes, and he was in his right to seek that property if he wanted to. But that's not even what had happened. Let the truth come out tonight.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, we got a text today from Ms. Slaughter, who was contacted by Trustee Mohammed after the last board meeting, who said he would assist with trying to get her house back. Hi, Elizabeth. Sorry to be just getting back to you, but Trustee Mohammed hasn't been able to get a conference call with me with Don Meadows. I won't be able to make tonight's meeting, but I will be at the next one. So all I'm saying is that Mr. Meadows is sitting right here.
Okay.
I don't know who wrote that text, Mayor.
Came from Ms. Slaughter.
I don't know who wrote it.
Ms. Slaughter. and she was here at the last meeting, and she told you what happened when they took her house. And Mr. Meadows was supposed to get back with her. He never did. Trustee Mohammed approached her last meeting. I saw Trustee Mohammed speaking when he got his number, and she's saying there has not been any correspondence between last meeting and this meeting about getting her house back. So, you know, the other thing, and we can discuss it because I think you got it here on the agenda.
Can I be recognized, Mayor?
About investing in Dolton. So, anyway, we're not going to go any further with this. Trustee Trustee House put it on.
So you're shutting down discussion, is that correct?
I'm just shutting down discussion on this because what we're doing is talking about the South Suburban Land Bank.
Okay, well,
Trustee House,
that discussion has been shut down on South Suburban Land Bank.
Trustee House had put the South Suburban Land Bank on here for discussion. Now, if anybody wanted to discuss it, fine. If not, we can move on. Any further discussion on Land Bank? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the status of Club 1. Trustee Mohammed.
Thank you, sir.
Now, go ahead.
I asked for the status of Club 1, and Attorney Murphy responded, and I'd like to read into the record, which is in the record, but for the public, what the response is. Before I read that, I just want to make sure I'm not in any violation of any confidence as Attorney Murphy by reading this into the record.
No, that was written in anticipation of public disclosure.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Murphy responded on June 18th concerning Club 1, and we have questions concerning these 2 points that the attorney answered in response to what is the status of Club 1. And for those who don't remember, Club 1 is the nightclub that's next door to the village that was ran illegally by individuals who did not have a liquor license, by the name of Larry Jackson and others, affiliated with a gang on the west side called the Vice Lords. This is the response from our attorney. And by the way, that was given permission to run that club by our liquor commissioner, who is the mayor, who works also in that capacity. These are the 2 responses, and we have questions on both. Here is a status update on this matter. The 2017-18 license year has expired, and there were no efforts by anybody to renew the license for the premises or apply for a new license for the premises for 2018-19. Accordingly, I believe, this is Attorney Murphy, I believe the license revocation matter is moot for the simple reason that there is no license to revoke. Let me repeat that one again. I believe the license revocation matter is moot for the simple reason that there is no license to revoke. Number 2, there are 2 lawsuits pending, which are originally filed by shooting victims against the owners and managers of the premises. These plaintiffs have recently added the village of Dolton as defendant. We have moved to dismiss these lawsuits based on legal immunities from suit. In part, we're relying on court precedent arising out of the E2 matter, where the courts found that the city of Chicago had no legal responsibility under similar facts. My question is on number 1. We weren't concerned with the update status of licenses for 2018 and 19. Our concern was for 2017-18 when 5 people were shot in that club with an illegally ran club. The question is, who was the license holder, not the owner of the building, but who is the license holder and managers of 2017-18 Club 1? This does not answer. This talks about 2018-19, anybody to renew the license. We're not concerned with anybody. We want to know the update of the status of those individuals that were running the club where the people were shot at Club 1 in the year May 2017, on Mother's Day.
Trustee Mohammed, you know, you want to keep beating this as a dead horse, you know. And secondly, where you got the information about vice lords and so on and so operating a club is some fantasy of yours, I guess. But you should know everything about that because you requested the whole file of who made application, who the license was issued to. So you had all that information. So I don't know what you want more from the liquor commissioner. You had the whole file. You saw in the file who the license application was issued, who the license was issued to. It's your estimation that it was illegal. But I'm gonna say this: do you think all these celebrities, they have their name on these nightclubs and these restaurants, the licenses are in their name? We got the Michael Jordan restaurant. They got a liquor license. You got Dick Schuler's. You think the liquor license is issued in their names? No, it's not. And you know who the liquor license was issued in because you got the complete file. And it wasn't issued in Mr. Jackson's name. And it's been issued in the same name since the club was taken over, I think in 2014.
Mayor, could I speak?
Go ahead.
This matter is
moot.
Going on a long time. No, it's not moot because you're the liquor commissioner and you should know what's going on. I mean, it's not just getting a paycheck. You should also be on top of what's going on in these establishments when you give out the license. Now, in this case, we've already been added as defendants. How much is this going to cost taxpayers because you didn't do your job?
That's not true.
Oh, yes, it is,
it's
Mayor.
It's not true.
You know what's going on over there.
Every mayor is the liquor commissioner.
Yes, that's
every
true.
Mayor. Okay.
But you still have a job to do, and knowing who you're giving a license to and how it's being operated. That's part of the liquor commissioner's job.
And our permit person goes through all the investigation, checks out all the information, and once it's submitted to me, she say yay or nay, and I sign it, just like in every other town. And if you want to go in all these other towns where they've had shootings in these clubs or shootings at special events, that the mayor, as the liquor commissioner, signs that document. How come they're not preventing it?
Mayor,
how come they're not preventing it?
I actually am not worried about the other community.
I know you're not worried about it. You're just worried about villainizing me. That's what you're worried about.
You could say that, Mayor, but you know that this was a situation where 5 people got shot and everything's being swept under the carpet. Nothing's being done about it.
That's not true.
This could happen again if you don't do what you should do.
That's not true. 89 people.
Give a license to
89 people shot in the city of Chicago this past weekend.
But this is the suburbs.
With 9 killings, 9 dead. There's something that happened around and or near clubs.
Okay, so we're like Chicago.
It's not being like Chicago. They've had events in several of these south suburbs. Several of these south suburbs. South Holland, Harvey, Dixmoor, Tinley. We're not immune, and they're not immune.
Mayor,
if somebody can guess when a tragedy is going to happen, we'll monopolize. There won't be a lot of murders and a lot of tragedy incidents.
That might be true.
When we get previous intelligence, we try to put things in place to make sure that the place is safe. But at any given day, things can happen, and they do.
All I'm saying, Mayor, is things weren't done right there.
What wasn't done right, Trustee?
It was swept under the carpet.
What wasn't done right, Trustee?
You didn't investigate who you gave a license to?
Like I said, our permit department does the investigation. They receive the application, they do the backgrounds, it's sent to the police department, and it comes back, and if she says yay, I sign it. If she says no, I don't sign it.
Okay, so anybody could get a license. That's the way you're making it sound.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
They do the investigations. It's sent to the police department. The police department sends it back, and if it's approved, and I sign it. What do you mean no investigation?
Maybe they should get the liquor commissioner's salary. But I'm done with it.
Thank you. I'm glad.
I have a question for Attorney Murphy. Attorney Murphy, I just want to know yes or no. This is a yes or no question. Did Club One have a current liquor license?
2017-18.
My recollection is that a license was issued, yes.
My recollection is they did not have one. That it was pending. Okay. Can you give that to me in writing? Can you send that to me in writing, Attorney Murphy? Can you send that to me in writing that they had a liquor license? I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, my second part was to Attorney Murphy, if you don't mind, Mayor, if I can be recognized. We got this memo, like I stated, on June 8th. If we can get any legal documentation that supports items 1 and 2 for the updated status, if we can get that from the attorney and he can forward that to this board. Can we get that, Attorney Murphy and Mayor?
Go ahead.
I'm not commenting on that. I think as far as we're concerned, you've got the information. He explained it to you. It's been over a year. The club is still closed. You know, it's not like there have been shootings in some clubs in some other municipalities where they were penalized for 60 days or 90 days when they had a shooting there and they were allowed to reopen. This club has been closed over a year.
Well, that really doesn't answer it, Mayor. If you look at item 2, there are 2 lawsuits pending. We have yet to see any paperwork, whether it be filings, or, if I could, Mayor, if any filings or motions based upon our village attorney concerning the Club 1 matter. If we can just see any kind of legal documentation that backs up these points, and we can put it to rest. But it's not a fallacy, and I'm not beating a dead horse, Mayor. I got this information from the Tribune. And that's why I put it on, because they were asking me what the status is, because it's under investigation.
You know why you got the information? Because of the Tribune?
Mayor, please.
Because some of you gave it to them.
If you would, Mayor, please. I would like this board to have the public information as well as the public, what the status is, and if we can get our attorney to give us the legal documentation on the status of the club. This is not a fairy tale. This is not a dream. This is not somebody just making this up. There's nothing that the Tribune is giving me. That's a fact that 5 people were shot. We need to know what the status of. Who was the individuals holding that license? It was not Mucho Gusto. That's the name that you have yet to put forth. But it was not Mucho Gusto that was managing. I think the attorney used 2 terms in here, the managers and owners. We know who the owner of the building is, but the managers on the premises is another thing. And that's the documentation we'd like to have.
Okay, thanks. The attorney will be sending you copies of the lawsuits.
Thank you.
It's not uncommon that when there's incidents like this that everybody gets sued. And the plaintiffs try to find out who got the deep pockets and see if they can settle and get some money. So he will forward you copies of the lawsuit, and now we're going to move to the next thing on the agenda. Status of the posting of Invest in Dolton registration materials. Trustee Muhammad.
Thank you, Mayor. Status of the postings of Invest in Dolton registration materials. So that the public and this board knows, and the attorney can affirm this also, we passed an ordinance that we were to be allowed to use our village website, the Village of Dolton, to post any postings. For example, with the presenter that will be here tonight very shortly, that we haven't been allowed to post anything. We have applications to be received. They have not been posted. I reached out to the mayor. He said he hasn't read it, hasn't gotten to it yet. It couldn't be no more than 10 pages. But we're moving forward anyway, so what we would like to do, even though, Mayor, you are in violation of at least 2 to 3 ordinances that have been passed. So you're in violation of those ordinances by not posting this material that this board has passed unanimously. And with that being said, if I can get Mr. Meadows up to the podium, please. As I mentioned earlier, you know, we have a tendency to weaponize politics, weaponize religion, and weaponize the truth. There's a lot of misinformation that's going out, aspersions cast on this young man here. I think it was a couple weeks ago, the young lady said that he was in her property and was belligerent or arrogant. And upon not me reaching out to her, as you said, Mayor, she came to me and I told her I would help her. We found out that it was not Mr. Meadows. We know who the individual was. So we got a clarity on a lot of things. Yes, it's true. We have not been able to do a conference because of people's schedules. She was to be here tonight. She couldn't make it, and we tried to make the meeting before this meeting. But if we could, Mr. Meadows, if you could update the residents of the Village of Dolton where we are in the status of those homes that will be available to homeowners and not investors.
For the Invest in Dolton program, can you hear me? For the Invest in Dolton program, we have been able to pick up the title to 4 properties for the Invest in Dolton, for the village participants to be occupied, review. We're going to do the status and update on them so they'll know the cost of the rehab. Part of the actual program is occurring on the 14th, where they can meet with different lenders, the credit counseling agencies, and know what it means to become a homeowner in the community. And the funds that the village invested can be reinvested back into the village through the Invest in Dolton program. They will not be going to investors, homeowners only. And the process will make sure that they go through it, understand what it means to be a homeowner, and these will not affect your property values because they're going to sell well below market value, so they're not going to be listed on the MLS, so they won't affect your property value. So that's coming up on July the 14th. We were able to acquire these properties through the going through and canvassing, reviewing, and to answer the mayor's question, there are plenty of properties to review in here. It's a long, tedious process to review the taxes, the violations, the codes, less pendings, my codex, and the review. If it was that easy, we would just take everything off the tax list and put it up. But that's nonsensical. You can't pick up every piece of property at the same time. And we are picking up distressed properties. What occurs when we approach the individuals with the properties, we give them an opportunity to make it whole. Ms. Slaughter, in this case, never came to court. Even after we approached her, after we received title to the property, and told her, well, you have to come to court so you can file it because we've already received the title to your property. She still didn't come to court.
Who did Ms. Slaughter talk to that told her they would get back to her?
She spoke to me.
Okay.
So it wasn't a case of her not getting back to me. I spoke to Ms. Slaughter on several occasions. So I can't go back with the hearsay, and I didn't come to play politics with you today.
Yeah.
My reality
I'm not coming
today,
to play politics with you either.
My reality today is I come to speak truth to what's going on.
All right.
I'm not going to, what the reality is, you're asking me to do something you never asked this other organization to do. You want me to pay you for my work. And then you want me, Land Bank was here for 3.5 years, 14 houses, never transitioned. You own the property that you sold and they wiped the taxes. So of course you're gonna get paid on your house. So stop making statements that don't make sense to people.
Yeah, what do you mean making statements don't make sense? We gave them the houses, we gave them the houses, we gave them the houses that were deplorable condition. And it was hard for them to get rid of. But the houses that they're giving you, and you handpicking and you selecting those houses that need very little work and very little rehab. Now, when you talked about Invest in Dolton, the initial plan for Invest in Dolton, you told the people to come here on that Saturday, they could get a house for $5,000. And then
I did not say. And then, ma'am, I don't know. And then, first of all, I never said that.
And then, well, somebody did who was representing.
We were right.
They put the paperwork out, and then you said you had to have $40,000 worth of equity.
Mayor, can we finish our
Then you said we had to have $40,000 worth of equity, and then tonight now you got to have $50,000 worth of equity.
Can we finish this, Mayor?
With all
can we finish this?
Thank you. Thank you,
Mayor. With all due respect, we're still on item number 7. Mr. Meadows is here to give the actual facts. If you would please allow Mr. Meadows to finish his presentation.
Trustee Mohammed, you're not running anything. Go ahead, Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Mayor, if you would please allow Mr. Meadows to complete his presentation, we'll be more than glad to answer any questions. We don't want to do it in a confrontational way. We want questions from the audience as well as yourself. If you would just please let him finish.
I'd like to state that there are 2 different programs going on, and for whatever reason, the 2 keeps getting mixed up. The Invest in Dolton is something the ordinance that the trustees put together to help the citizens of Dolton. The Land Bank program that I took over from BP Capital was to do reinvestment in Dolton with my own capital. So it's 2 different programs, and I don't know why they keep getting merged. It's 2 different things going on. The $5,000 Invest in Dolton, if they're getting you the property and you can do the rehab, and we've stated that it's going to cost $5,000 to acquire it and $45,000 to $40,000 to do the rehab. That was the exact conversation. I brought the paperwork. I even handed it out to the citizens. So to say anything else is a lie.
Okay, they said tonight you need $50,000.
Let me finish, man. Let me finish.
Finish.
The second reality is we're picking the properties that are distressed in Dolton, and we pick them all. We don't get them all because some people come and pay their taxes. And a few of the folks we've taken to court, They actually came and rehabbed their houses. They came and cut their grass because there was no notification. One of the young ladies you talked about that you came to court and saved, the only reason we kept taking her to court is so she would continue, because she's tried to rehab her house 4 years running and never finished, and no one ever did anything about it. She never registered as a vacant property. She kept the last permits in the window when we went to the property were from 2015. So when you talk about what's going on and we pushing the issue, these are facts. Stop coming up and maligning my name. You don't know me.
Yeah. You don't know me either.
And I'm.
Oh yeah.
And all I'm saying is that when you came and brought this, presented this, that Saturday, you had these people come here saying you needed $5,000.
I did not say that.
Whoever you spoke with on this board.
That's not what happened. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar.
You
that's
are a
not
liar.
What happened.
You are a liar.
You're a liar, and that's not what happened.
We got the documentation.
You don't have any I didn't get.
Okay.
There is no
All right.
documentation.
Okay.
You've done enough.
That meeting, they asked the people, told the people that they could buy a house for $5,000, and then when they got here, they told them they needed $40,000. And now tonight, one of the members here just said you need $50,000.
Well, first of all, we said you could acquire the house for $5,000. They're distressed houses. The $40,000 is to rehab it. You can't live in the house in its current condition. So why are you trying to make fools of these people? Why are you trying to make this not something that it's not? Why would you do that?
We got the documentation.
Why would you do that?
You got the documentation that
it shows you a rehab loan. Why would you do that?
Mayor,
why are you such a dishonest person?
You could fight the program.
You say you're a man of God. Why do you do this?
Regardless of what you say, Mayor, this program will work.
You
there
guys,
will be people put in these homes, and they will be.
I have nothing to do with the Invest in Dalton. So I am helping in the Invest in Dalton program because they need the assistance. But the reality of it, I never told them they was going to own a rehab house for $5,000. That doesn't make any sense.
You're saying that you never sold any of these houses to an investor. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying none of these properties have been sold to an investor.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, if we can continue, if you would, as a reminder, you can stay there, Mr. Meadows, please. With the Invest in Dalton program, as a reminder for those who have an interest in that, because again, there will be people who are against this program, but we're talking about putting people in homes, and there is a $5,000 acquisition cost from the particular buyer. But we want you to come to our housing fair, where you can walk away with a home of your own for less than $50,000. Why continue to rent when you can own? This fair is for potential homeowners, not investors. We will have contractors, plumbers, electricians, banks for attendees at this housing fair, and that's Saturday. That's next month, July 14th, and the time is from 12 to 2 at New Zion Covenant Church at 14200 Chicago Road. You can RSVP your attendance by calling 708-888-0344, and we had another one of these before, and I think you were in attendance. And if you can give an overview of what that was about and what this one will be about, and that'll give a little bit more clarity of what we're trying to do in putting people in homes in Dalton, which is the #1 complaint, abandoned and foreclosed properties in Dalton.
Prior to this, we had an event in December of last year. We invited some contractors, other vendors, lenders in the community to explain the process of purchasing a home that needs to be rehabbed, because that's a process, and you can't just throw someone into that process without giving them the steps before it to happen, because this is not home and garden television. Watching that process is a lot more difficult to do than a lot of people understand how to do. So we walked them through that process, and we had other vendors there that do that, other lenders in that program. So we had it at the church. We're going to do it again. We're going to invite other lenders that do 203K and what they call Fannie Mae home-style rehab loans, so they can understand the process, because I don't want people getting caught up with contractors and things they don't understand when they're trying to get a rehab loan done on a property. So we will have other vendors out. We'll have professionals showing licensed and bonded contractors, so no one's money will be in jeopardy of being lost. And I'd like to say, I'm sorry, people. I lost my composure. I prayed before I came here, and I got out of that. So I'm sorry. I apologize to you, Mayor and trustees and good citizens of Dolton. I do apologize for stepping out of myself, okay? Thank you.
Appreciate that. Also, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, status of postings, some of these vendors have reached out to me so that they could forward this information to go on the VO Dolton website. But we're unable to do that because our mayor is in violation of the ordinance that was passed in order for us to publish public information as for the well-being of this village and its residents. So we will give that number out again at 708-888-0344 to promote this as best we can, and hopefully this will air on channel 4 and 99. We know it won't be on the website because it's been blocked, but I appreciate your time, Mr. Meadows, and hopefully you will hang, because if someone has any other statements or questions, if you would still stay behind. Thank you. And that's my report. I'm sorry, my report. That's item number 7.
Next thing on the agenda is citizens' address. Anybody would like to address this? Body can come up.
First of all, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you being the mayor of the village of Dolton.
Thank you.
I've been in this village since 1994. I respect you, sir.
Thank you.
To the members on this board, you guys was voted in to help the mayor, not to be argumentative to him. I am a citizen of Dolton. I am a taxpayer. I am a homeowner, and I am a voter. Number 1. Let's go to this number 3, the grass cutter. Muhammad, you said that it wouldn't cost anything to get a third grass cutter.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that the houses was, they have selected houses, they're gonna cut the grasses?
Yes.
Well, I'm on 141st place in Dolton. Since I've been there in 94, every house on Wednesday cut their grass, make it look presentable, because pickup day is Thursday. But lately, this house on 141st, right on the corner.
What's the ad? 140?
141st.
14100?
Now, this house has been abandoned.
What's the street, ma'am?
You're talking about 141st place. I gave it to him to cut it today. I went by there yesterday. There's 2 abandoned houses there.
Yes, it is.
It's right on the corner.
Yes,
I know
it is,
exactly
Mayor.
where it is. They're going to handle that.
That grass is so tall, a kid, 10-year-old child, will walk by there. But it is a safety issue.
Right.
Yes.
She stated that people hurting people in abandoned building, that is terrible. Everybody's house is okay, but these 2 houses on the end, somebody's going to have to do something about them.
Yes, ma'am. Right. But the reason for the third one, so we can have more people to cut, the budget is the same. We just need more grass cutters. That's why we want to add a third one, because they aren't able to cover the entire 5 square miles of Dolton. That's why we're trying to add another grass cutter without affecting the budget. They just have to divide it among 3 people.
That's what I said.
Excuse me, Mayor. The 3 people are not even enough. We really need more than that, but that's what our budget can hold, 3. And with Public Works adding it, that helps. That just complements what we're trying to do, ma'am.
Oh, okay,
That's
sir.
what I tried to say last year when you cut them. That we needed more than what we had, but you cut them now. I don't know why you're reversing this year, but I'm happy that you're reversing this year, because we need to get those houses cut.
Right, because if you want people to attract into Dolton, and the neighborhood is doing their part, the residents doing their part, and then you got these 2 houses on that corner, just you turn the corner, it's terrible, absolutely terrible. Now, I'm not addressing this to you, Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I'm addressing this to you. You said that you was going to get someone to do it. I'm going to take your word for it.
Okay, it's going to be done.
Okay, sir.
I told you I went by there yesterday. I saw it. I know there was 2 abandoned houses there.
It's very bad.
Yeah.
Now, my second thing, number 5. The young lady said that BP Capital come in and you're not getting any money. You said about the that old restaurant up there, Dusty, that was towed down. My question is, why would you not get revenue off of something like that? Why was money not being said? If Dolton need money and you said that it wasn't a money issue, they didn't get paid for that? Are you talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you right now, miss.
Okay, and because we own the property. we own that property that Taco Bell sit on right now. That property belonged to the village of Dolton. And what they did, they got the taxes off of it because the restaurant was renting from us, the Old Dusties. They were renting that property from us when it burned up. And they received monies from the insurance, but they obviously didn't relocate there.
Which we
They
should
went
have received.
Excuse me. They went somewhere else. So therefore, we sold Taco Bell the property for $300. The village sold Taco Bell the property for $300,000. That's how that $300,000 came into play.
And the village didn't get none of that money?
Yeah, we got them $300,000 for the property that already belonged to us.
Okay.
Okay? And there's another part of the property that's available also for sale that belonged to the village of Dolton. So we received the $300,000
Okay.
from Taco Bell to put their establishment there.
Okay.
That was already our property. We didn't receive a dime from South Suburban Land Bank.
Not a dime.
Not one dime.
South
Okay.
Suburban Land Bank has the same capability that you gave BP Capital, and that's to wipe out the taxes on the property. So they're not doing anything other than any different than what the land bank was doing, other than selling these houses, and we're not getting any revenue for it.
And then
Now you chose to hire an attorney that's representing the village to file the abandonment and the demolition on these houses, and that same attorney is representing BP Capital. It's definitely a conflict of interest.
that's my question. Mayor, again, I appreciate you being the mayor of Dolton.
Thank you. Ms. Wells?
Good evening, trustees, mayor, residents of Dolton. Got a few things. I wanted to ask about the event happening on July 14th. Are walk-ins welcome, or must you register or RSVP?
Walk-ins are welcome, just like
Walk-ins
last
are
time, the
welcome.
one that you attended. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And then for the chief, where can I find a list of the equipment violations, just in case?
On the Illinois General Assembly's website, every law in the Illinois and also the Illinois Vehicle Code is listed on there.
Okay.
It's IGA.
And I have another question. Trustee House brought up an option to add the land bank as a second entity to do the same thing that BP Capital is doing. BP Capital does not pay the village any money to abate taxes. But however, we are paying an attorney to do that. Well, they're paying the attorney. They're paying the attorney. I stand corrected.
That's his money.
Okay, we won't go there.
That's his money. He can do that.
But we have two programs running, Invest Dolton, BP Capital. There is not a cost to anyone to abate the taxes under the land bank, and so with BP Capital, right? Why can we not have two? Why can't we have two entities? They're doing the same thing. In terms of monies that were paid to the village received $300,000+ for that Taco Bell. That's an income that you didn't have had the land bank not come in, abated the taxes, the development happened, and you were able to sell the property for a profit. It was sitting there with delinquent taxes. Yes, we agree.
Who would
right?
you like to answer that?
I'm just making a statement right now. I'm just making facts. Sitting there with back taxes, the land bank came in. Mayor, do you know the amount of those taxes?
It was close to $1 million.
Didn't cost us a dime, but you were able to sell and make a profit, right?
Ms. Wells, I'm going to add something.
She was asking me a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that's correct. And had we had BP Capital present at that particular time, at that particular era in the village of Dolton, he could have did the same identical thing.
No argument there. I'm asking the question, why can't you have them both coexist?
We are actually, this meeting here is a cow meeting, and it's for discussion. So therefore, this man have been beat up on so much by yourself and other people.
I haven't beaten him up. I don't even know him.
And therefore, his company have been, ridiculed so much. So
no paper trail on him.
I would like to see in the 6 months, because he have a listing of 18 houses right now with the deeds.
Mayor has to sign.
That the mayor have to sign these deeds, and I hope and pray that he sign the deeds.
I hope and pray he doesn't.
Okay? So, it's funny to you, but I myself been living in this community for 20 years now, and I have an invested interest in the community. Now, I don't know how long the mayor have been here in this community, but I plan on staying here, and I believe in fighting for my community and for the people of this great village, for home ownership, not to see the grass as tall as myself, and to see economic development in our community. So therefore, I'm giving BP Capital an opportunity, because it seemed like it's a little faster to me. And if we have some more vacant property, like over here in the old part of Dolton, I'm looking at the warehouse over there that can be torn down, getting the taxes taken off of that, and some development happening over there. That's what I'm looking forward to. So why not give this man an opportunity?
I didn't say not give him one.
And I'm looking at the time span, the 16 months, the 3 years that it took them to do 14 pieces of property.
So there's a backstory, and you and I can have that conversation, but there is a backstory, and you know that there is. However, my question once again, well, I'll tell you, and I will enlighten you, trustee. If you want to know, I'll enlighten you the backstory. But my question again is, why can they not coexist? Why is all of it going to BP Capital, and BP Capital is capitalizing on the sale of those properties?
But you did not come up here and tell me the same thing about South Suburban Land Bank. That's what I'm confused on.
What did I not tell you?
You did not say for anybody else to less divided between another company.
It wasn't even on the table. Yes, I'm not arguing with you on that. What I'm saying to you, trustee, is that when the land bank existed out here, there was nobody else at the table. You took them away from the table, or it was voted. It wasn't just you. Yes, you did.
No, you took them. I did.
Okay.
And I stand by my vote.
Okay, and I stand by my position. Trust me, I do.
Okay.
Because I know what I'm talking about.
I want to know, Ms. Wells, if you could stay there, I want to know, since there has not been any costs by the trustees' admission, what did we give Attorney Bass $30,000 for on 5 houses? On 6 houses, what did we give him $30,000 for to do the demolition and abatement, the abandonment petition on those 6 houses? Where did those 6 houses go? Did they go to Invest in Dolton, or did they go to BP Capital?
Yes, they go to Invest in Dolton.
Then how did we not spend any money to do it?
That's 2 different programs.
But you have the same players, which is a conflict. It's the same players in both programs, and that's why it's so confusing.
It's 2 different programs.
Mr. Meadows just stood up there and said there was no cost with the Invest in Dolton program. So then why did we give $30,000 to Attorney Bass to process the demolition and abandonment of those houses when he said he paid the attorney fees? Okay. So at any rate, all right.
One last question.
Okay. Go ahead, Miss.
I heard said that there are ordinances in place that the mayor may be in violation of.
At least 3.
Okay. Were those ordinances put in place to pass your own agendas? Because it seems like those particular ordinances go towards what you want to do. Is that what the residents want to do?
I can tell you clearly what those ordinances are.
What are they, please?
Number 1, They have access to the media center /vodolton.org in case we have to promote any particular public affairs event. That's one of them. That has nothing to do with individuals' regard. We vote as a board. Part of that was to promote the BP Capital and other programs that we have done. For example, if you heard us say that we have about how many titles that are clear, deeds that are clear? About 18. And they have to be signed by the mayor. Did you hear that part?
I heard that part.
They're going to come in his office, and if you listen to his response was, you heard it.
I did.
That he's not going to sign it. So therefore,
now,
this is
now
what
he's saying things that I didn't say.
Just like he didn't sign the other information that was for him. But let me answer your question so that we can be very clear. The mayor is in violation. The young lady said that we're fighting with the mayor. I will continue to speak truth to power. I'll be respectful to the mayor, but I don't agree with everything on the mayor. Getting to your question is this. If we approve the program, the board, and it becomes an ordinance, we all have to follow it. Sometimes there are ordinances that are approved that I may vote no on. But because I vote no on doesn't mean I'm going to be in violation of that ordinance. But the trustees will have to probably take the mayor to court in order for him to follow the ordinance.
I'm ready.
And you hear this? So now guess what? That's more money when all you got to do is follow the ordinance.
My question is then the ordinances that were put in place. I'm just wondering, are they put in place to pass a personal agenda? And if this BP Capital Invest Dolton, I'm sorry, it just feels like there's something in it for someone else other than the residents. It just feels that way because you're in such opposition to allow any other entity to work in this village. BP Capital Invest Dolton have the same players. So that's why it looks funny. It smells funny to me. And I'm sure other people smell it. I'm done.
We've had South Suburban Land Bank. We saw what they did over 3 years. So therefore, we're giving somebody else an opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Valeria.
Okay.
Thank you, Valeria. It's my turn now. I am a resident of the village of Dolton. My name is Beth. I am very concerned about the policing of the village of Dolton with the number of police officers that we have. At the last village meeting, there was the question came up at the meeting that we needed to hire 2 more police officers with 2 part-time police officers. Then we found out that 1 police officer was let go from his position. So that comes out to 3 police officers that we need. And in our community, we had a very bad shooting last week, Tuesday, where they were shooting into their vehicles. And I'm not saying that the police aren't doing their job. I'm just saying we need more police officers. And we have fireworks situation coming, and we don't need to have it be Beirut and Iraq again next year. I mean this year, like it was last year. It was very bad last year, and we need more police officers. I just don't understand why it was tabled. You represent us. If you can't do your job, Dwayne Muhammad, resign right now. If you can't do your job, Valeria Stubbs, resign right now. You too, Trustee Pearson. The people of Dolton want you to do your job. If you cannot get us more police, resign right now. You're not doing your job. You have been elected to protect us. You did not take care of us by hiring more police officers. The people of the village of Dolton should be very angry. And I'm speaking for people that don't have the courage to stand here and tell you that. You either need to hire more police officers or resign. No, I don't want an answer from you. I want you to do your job.
Well, what I want to say to you, Robert,
I'm not going to be out of order. I don't care what you say.
Don't have money. So anybody can stand up and talk about hiring police, but you got to pay for them. And this village took Chicago water money for 20 years and spent it. And now we don't have that anymore. This village is going to court tomorrow where we have to try to work something out with the city of Chicago. You cannot play with that money anymore. So anybody that stands up and says, we can hire police, this budget don't have money in it for police. I want more police. This board wants more police. But we can't spend what we don't have.
That's
we
not,
were told by, yes it is, Mayor, and you know
it's not true.
By this attorney,
it's not
that
true.
we could run out of money before year's end. It is. We have to redo the budget. And we tabled it so that we could see after the budget if we're going to have enough money to hire one or two. But right now we have to look at the whole budget simply because we cannot do what prior administrations did. This board didn't do that. We weren't the ones taking money from the Chicago Water Fund, spending it, but that's how they did it every year. That's how it was done every year.
Actually,
whatever you want to do, just take it out of Chicago's money. That's how it was done.
Chief.
And now we cannot touch Chicago's money ever again. We have to pay rearage and we have to pay the current bill. And when that happens, everybody's going to see, regardless of what they're telling you, that this village does not have the money to go and do it. Don't think we didn't hire police because we don't want police. I see it every day. I talk to people every day about the crime in this community.
Every day.
But we'd be stupid to hire police to have to lay them off in a month because we can't pay them.
Chief.
Along with other people.
Chief, hold on, ma'am. Ma'am.
I just said we can't hire them.
Chief.
Where's the money gonna come from?
Somebody gotta protect the people. I don't care where the money comes from.
We have police.
Chief, how many police officers are we down now, and how many? There was 2 that went into retirement.
We had 3 that retired last year.
Three that retired. Hold on a minute. Three that retired that we were budgeted for, correct?
Correct.
So in that budget of the 3 that retired, that the budget was approved by this board, how come we couldn't replace those 3?
Because we were $2 million over budget, Mayor. Because at that time, Chicago's money was being spent to pay our budget. So that whatever was in the police budget won't be the same, Mayor, and you know that.
Trustee Pearson,
it won't be the same.
Trustee,
if we're going to go with a balanced budget, the police, the fire, public works, none of those budgets will be the same.
Now, Trustee Pierce, that's because you guys are the ones that's doing the budget. Now, I'm going to say this.
But you're spending the money.
How am I spending the money when I can't? You took my authority to spend any money. You took my authority to spend any money, and the board votes on what they spend.
There's a hiring freeze. Did you just hire people?
There's a hiring freeze.
And did you just hire people? Yes. Yes.
I did. And guess where I hired them? And guess where I hired them? In the water department, so we can get this crap straight.
Mm-hmm.
And you still want to give me heat on it.
I ain't giving you heat.
And if you would have hired,
if you spending money that the village don't have.
If you would have hired those people last August when I asked you, we wouldn't have had this backlash in the water department. But you voted against it. But you tell me we didn't have the money. But you spent $80,000 on that house that was underwater, Trustee Muhammad, on that house that was underwater over there, and you didn't say a word about that. And it's still sitting there vacant. Now, when you talk about, and you want to put the pressure on me, the mayor did this with the water department, the mayor did this. Every time I tried to do something to get some corrective action, bring some revenue in here, you voted down. You knew we had a problem in the water department. We knew we had to get on top of getting those bills accurate. Last August, I said, let's hire 7 part-time water meter readers so we can get actual readings. No, we're not going to do it. Early on in this administration, I asked for us to go to monthly water bills. No, we didn't do it. I mean, I can't help if you continue to vote against me, and now we need police officers, and I've asked for police officers several times, and you said, no, we're not going to hire them. And 5 people got shot.
Mayor, you know,
but we don't want to hire.
It's really not funny.
But we don't want to hire. But we don't want to hire police officers.
It's really not funny.
If the people don't feel safe in this community, they're going to leave. If the business people don't feel safe in this community, they're going to leave. If people that want to come in and buy houses and invest their money for businesses, they're going to leave if they don't feel safe. One of the biggest things that the residents said when I ran for mayor was, Mayor, we never see the police. I don't care if the police don't do anything. If they're riding around here, it's a perception of being safe. And when the people come through this town and they see police, you know, they say, we're not going to stop and do any crime in Dolton. We're going to go somewhere else. Too many police. You cannot afford not to hire police. We spend $500,000 on overtime for police and we're paying it. Why don't we hire police officers where we can get them at a minimum rate and get in here and protect these citizens? On one hand, you say we ain't got the money to hire, but on the other hand, we spend over $500,000 in overtime.
Mayor, when that was done, and you know,
it's being done right now.
That was Chicago's
it's
money.
Being done right now.
Chicago's money, and the attorney will tell you that.
It's being done right now.
This village was spending Chicago's money, and they can't do it anymore, and you know it.
And that's fine. Why did
fool the residents?
I'm not trying to fool the residents. It's reality.
The funds.
It's reality. You're talking about laying off people right now.
We can take that one that's watching you, that one police officer watching you, and we can put them on the street. You say you had a death threat, and Pete Zano, that he was watching you, that he was directly under you. So maybe if we can take that one, at least we'll have one more that can go on the street.
I've got numerous death threats, and I would be justified. And you could ask this chief, I'd be justified in having police security. But you know what I'm under opinion? If somebody gonna get you, they're gonna get you. They get presidents with hundreds of men of security. So I leave it up to the man upstairs. He gonna protect me, he's gonna protect me. He gonna take me, he gonna take me. I don't care how many police officers are around me. But City Hall has always had a police officer in it. Always.
So, Mayor,
I'm
does
sorry.
that mean we can take Pete Zeno and put him back in rank?
Oh, no, it is all right. It's yours.
No.
Anyway, I just wanted to say I'm sorry I have missed so many meetings. This is Scott. I call your department so I can put in for volunteer, but you have to get back to me. And Max, he helped me out, even with the alley, that part where it smelled, that my husband says thank you. And Mr. Stickpen, even though he is not here, and the other ladies, Valerie Royster and Linda Cobb, they're in parking enforcement, so I got to meet them. And they're doing a wonderful job.
Yes.
So whatever you need me to volunteer for, even though I have prosthetic knees, I'm limited, but I will do. I get around. So please let me know, and I appreciate everyone letting me speak. All right.
Keep telling y'all don't scream.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody know who I am. But I have a question concerning the South Suburban Land Bank. When a person do something, you said they didn't do nothing. What's wrong with giving them another opportunity? I don't think this village should be ran by one or two people. We are residents. Couple of you all that's all out, you are not the only one paying taxes in Dolton. I think we should have a voice too. So if the land bank, give them a chance. If you, okay, you have put a few people in there that didn't do what they supposed to do, but you did, but you want to give them another chance.
But can you tell me what person is supposed to
we
be?
ain't gonna go.
I know we're not gonna go through this.
Okay.
I know we're not gonna do this, right? Because there is no person.
Okay, but I'm just saying, give them a chance. I mean, you got one or two trustees want to nominate everyone, want to be in charge of everything. Trustee Howell said, give them a chance. Why not give them a chance? I mean, you can't get too much help. Give them another chance.
We just gave them a chance. Can we give this gentleman a chance?
Okay, but
before everybody keep
two heads is better than one any day.
Can we just let him have at least give him a couple of more months? Okay,
two heads is better than one any day. Trustee Stubb.
Miss Williams, I would just like everybody just came in beating up on this man, just beating up
Well,
on
I'm not
this
beating
man.
up on him. I'm just
and you
saying,
never
why not
gave him an
add on? Give him some help.
I would like. I don't know that he need any. If you
What's
just,
in it for you? Why you don't want nobody else to help
anything.
you?
Let me tell you something, Miss Williams.
What's in it for you?
God supply all my needs. I don't need anything. I'm straight.
Okay, well, give
I have retired from my job.
Let Trustee House have a part too.
I don't need anything, and I don't even appreciate you even making that statement that something in it is for me. I'm gonna let you know what's in it for me.
But you said a whole lot of things Georgia didn't appreciate, but you said it. All right, have a good day, Trustee Stud.
The residents of this village, that's what's in it for me, so they can have good housing. That's what's in it for me. I wish he would work with us. We was voted in to work for the people, not to be
All right,
a rubber stamp.
Go ahead, Barbara. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you.
Good evening, residents and village board. I have a concern about getting the weeds and stuff cut in back of me. The house that's in back of me has weeds and things running across the fence or whatever, and I've contacted the code person here. I've called here and asked. One day last week was, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back. I understand that I think the space behind this garage that's in the house behind me is supposed to be an easement for, I guess, repairs or whatever. There was a cable repairman that came into my yard to repair my next door neighbor's cable. I called and asked about having someone come out to cut these weeds down. I went out and cleaned my flower bed out where the weeds had grown over. You couldn't even tell the flower bed was there. Grass growing under my fence that I had to clean out of the flower bed and all. What I want to know is, what do you have to do to get the weeds and stuff cleaned off of my fence?
Okay. Unfortunately, there's an ordinance in place, or whether it's fortunately, there's an ordinance in place that the homeowner is required to keep the back of their property clean of debris. That debris includes weeds. So the village is not responsible for the back of each and every individual house that's here in the town.
Well, can the village go to the homeowner and ask them to clean from behind? I don't know if these people rent or whatever. It doesn't matter whether they're renting there or they homeowners or whatever. When they rehab that house, you could stand in my backyard and look a block over. Now you can't hardly see the back of the garage.
Okay, you said you talked to a code enforcement officer. I would think that they would have went to the property there, and whether they notified them or not, a ticket was issued.
Well, I called the housing department when they came into my yard.
Okay.
And had to reach the telephone pole, which is not on my property. It's on the other side of my fence. But they came and put the ladder in my yard to repair my next door neighbor's cable.
Do you have cable?
Yes, I have cable.
Well, there's usually a courtesy clause with the cable company. If your cable went out and the problem was in your neighbor's yard, they would go into your neighbor's yard and fix your cable. Same thing if your neighbor's cable went out and those lines run through your yard, they would come into your yard and fix your neighbor's cable. Normally what they do is knock on the door and they say, Miss Barbara, there's a problem with the cable at your neighbor's house. We're going to be in your yard working. But it's not a requirement. So
one did and one didn't, because they came back the second time. But my concern is the line or whatever is not in my yard.
No. But the problem was probably where the pole was by your house.
No, the pole is behind the pole. This is my fence. The pole is here.
Okay.
There's weeds, there's everything, so the cable person cannot go over in the yard and fix it. They have to come in my yard and fix the cable.
Okay,
I mean, fix the line or whatever they have to do up there.
Okay, but if the problem, are the weeds behind your house, behind your garage or your house?
They behind the neighbor's garage.
They behind the neighbor's garage. So you told our code enforcement officer, I would think that he would have went by there and issued a ticket.
He may have, and
Yeah.
when I also called the housing department once they came into my yard
Okay.
with the ladder or whatever. All I'm saying is clean the weeds up off of my fence, so that they will not grow over. They had grown over into my yard, and you couldn't even tell that there was a face. Why do I have to clean this up?
What I'm saying is that that's not the responsibility of the village to clean the weeds off your fence. What is the responsibility of the village is if there's a violation where there's debris behind the other house, they issue a ticket to the other house.
Exactly. The village responsibility, I would think, is to see that the neighbor cuts their weeds, grass, and whatever from behind their garage. I have been going through this for 2 months or more.
Okay. All right.
And nothing has been done.
Why don't we find out if a ticket was issued? Why don't we can check that out through the housing department. But I'm going to be honest with you. We have sent code enforcement officers to houses, to commercial businesses, and they've issued ticket after ticket after ticket. And you know what? They still don't cut the weeds down, and they come in and pay the ticket. They come in and pay 3 or 4 tickets and still don't cut the weeds down. It'll be cheaper for them to cut the weeds down.
Well, I don't know what can be done or whatever, but I would like to see the weeds and vines and whatever off of my fence.
Give Elizabeth the address. We can check tomorrow and see if there's any violations been issued. I'll give the neighbor's address. Have you talked to the neighbors about it? Any dialogue with them?
You don't talk to the neighbors or whatever, at least I don't.
Okay.
Because you have confrontations or whatever, and at this day and time, you don't go approaching anybody.
Well,
Good evening, everybody. I just have one comment in reference to the South Suburban Land Bank. And it seems like it would be unfair if we didn't give them a chance, especially seeing that it's not costing us anything extra. After all, we did just give the grass cutter a second chance, so why not?
It's your time.
Good evening. What I'd like to say first is that same thing that Mrs. Stubbs, Trustee Stubbs said, a belated Father's Day to everyone here that's a father, and I hope that you enjoyed the day on Sunday. My first concern is that concerning the land bank. I'm sorry, the land bank did have properties. I didn't hear anything for over 3 years. I had a concern because no one talked about the land bank until BP Capital I'm sorry, let me not say BP Capital, but Invest in Dolton came. Now, I don't see a problem with giving this company, and I've said it before, and I'm not going to sit on my hands, because I feel that Invest in Dolton is an awesome opportunity to have young people buy property in the village of Dolton. Let me say that there are investors that own, I think, Mayor, you corrected me before. I said that at Mac Realty, I said they had 400. You corrected me. You said 200 pieces of property. So I stand corrected. But those are investment properties where people are paying $1,800 and $1,900 for rent. If I can afford $1,800, $1,900, $1,400 for rent, can I not afford that to own that property for myself and let I be the beneficiary from it? I'm not here to argue with anyone. I think we all must get along. We are not going to always agree. And it's all right for that. But I don't want people to be beaten and battered on because they're trying to make a difference. I know when I moved into Dolton, August 11, 1980, I know that the beginning properties cost $45,000 to $55,000, beginning homes. I don't have a problem paying someone to go and investigate properties. You know why? Because somebody got to be paid. Why am I going to knock the person? And understand me, I still have a concern with the, I'm off of there. We're going to go to Club 1. We kept waiting, and I'm telling you because my neighbors constantly bring it to me. What about what's going on with Club 1? I haven't talked to any of these young people, the trustees up here. They asked what happened to the investigations because Elder can tell you for sure, we have neighbors that give us bags of newspapers with articles in them so that we can read what's going on in Dolton because they would like a question answered. My thing, you know what, and many of them say they don't want to come here and listen to bickering. Exactly. So I also have a concern with...
Me either.
I know, everybody don't. I understand that, but we're doing it. But understand, right and wrong, I totally agree. There's a right, there's a wrong, and there's the truth. I am in support of the mayor, but I am also in support of the trustees. I am in support of the police and the fire. I am in support of what's best for the residents in the village of Dolton. I have a problem when people laugh about 5 people being shot. I don't live in South Holland. I live right here in Dolton. My children are here. My grandchildren are here. So, you know what, you guys, you hurt me when there's laughter going on about people being shot. And then everybody got to get a side. We don't have to take a side. We take what's right and what's best for the village as a whole. I still have a concern with $8 million from the water department being used, and I haven't missed a meeting. I don't know. I haven't heard a trustee agree to move monies from this account or that account to do that. And then I find out that we had to do that in order to pay bills. Okay? But I didn't know that. I haven't missed a meeting. I've been at every budget meeting. I didn't know that. So let me understand. And then when things are important, you guys, you know what? You don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to like me. But I love each and every one of you in spite of, because that's what God told me to do. Amen. My thing is that the concern for the BP Capital, the land bank, we gave him a chance. Let this young man, give him the time and the invest in Dolton. See, because I went to the first 2 meetings, the one that was here and the one that was at Bishop Davis. I saw very few people there. But I'm hoping that we all come out and learn the truth about individuals, young people that want to invest in Dolton. Understand it. You know what? It said the young are to do, the wise, the old are supposed to do what? Teach who?
The young.
The young. We're supposed to be wise for them. We're not saying that we're correct. I hear everybody dogging young couples. We had a funeral of a young lady that lost her life to a disease that she had. And I'm seeing all these young people that graduated from Thornridge, classes of 2000, 1999, 1997. And I said, where are you guys going? Mama Creighton, we don't want to come back to Dolton. You know why? Because that was one thing. But then they said they're not concerned with us. That's why I love the Invest in Dolton. I'm not here taking anybody's sides. Mayor, I love you. I love Ms. Dugan. I love all the trustees. I just want us to show Dolton as a viable place that it was when all of us moved here. Okay. Will we have the gospel? Will we have the gospel fest this year? I don't think that it was budgeted.
Was it budgeted last year? What happened, Elizabeth?
I don't know.
All of the events that are put on out of the mayor's office are funds that are raised privately.
Oh, That didn't answer my question. I
So
just
I
asked
don't
about
know
the
if
No, it's not
we're having
budgeted,
it
no.
this year.
Okay, but we don't know if we'll have it or not.
You know, every time when they cut stuff out of the budget, like the 50-20 program, hiring summer program, we have to go out and beg for money to get these programs done. And I just think that some of the things that we need to be doing, and you just mentioned the fact that your view said they don't do anything for us. Well, it takes money to do everything. And if we don't have the money and we continue to go to these businesses and ask them, hey, can we have money for ice cream for the kids? Can we have money for a gospel fest? Can we have money for employing the kids? When you going to stop coming, Mayor?
I agree, Mayor.
You know?
I totally agree.
So
we must have money to operate the events. And understand me that if we don't have, you guys, I love the police. I love Chief Collins, the fire department, but we did agree to have a balanced budget. If we don't have any monies, we have to be creative. I don't want you hiring someone that you start them out with false hopes and then you have to let them go. I believe that every department can come together and find some way of representing the village of Dolton. 2 blocks away from me, someone was murdered. Gunshots. I'm just saying that it's everywhere.
Miss Creighton, you know, and I'm going to say this. With what we have, I think they do a damn good job.
I think they do an awesome job.
And me and the chief have dialogue all the time about making different approaches, and we call in outside agencies to help us to supplement what we do have. You know, the county just come in here on a regular basis, and but you have to sometime bite the bullet, and you have to do what's right and what makes this community safe, and that's hiring police officers. And
can I ask
whether we do it with a bond? We can do a $2 million bond, hire 10 or 20 or 15 police officers, and pay the bond back, but it will make this community safe. And there has been municipalities that put referendums on the ballot and say, would you want to pay an extra $10 or extra $15 a month on your taxes in order to afford more police officers? Well, and here's the other flip side too. It's not just police; it's fire department too.
Of course.
Because the fire department,
all of our first responders.
The fire department, and it's embarrassing sometimes that we have a fire and we have to call for the assistance, which they come anyway, and they lead taking over the fire because we don't have enough manpower with fire.
I totally agree, man. But here's the thing:
criticize the police and they criticize the fire department when they screw up. But in some cases, they may screw up because we don't have enough manpower, and we have to have manpower.
I didn't stand up here to criticize anyone.
I just laying it out to you.
But I understand that. I've been here a long time. I still have a concern with, yes, I agree we could try to put a referendum on the ballot, and that would be left up to the residents to decide that. But I also have a concern with the $8 million. I also have, no one has answered that, and I'd like to say for the Pro Champ, thank you for the do we have the $9,000 in our account?
Yes.
Thank you. I also have one last question, and that is about BP Capital said they had 4 titles. Where was the 4? Where did the 4 come in? Or did I misunderstand something?
It's 4 titles. It's a total of 6 houses for Invest in Dolton. They have obtained 4 titles to to Invest in Dolton, and the others, it's a total of 18.
That you're still waiting to be signed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want a clarification, and my thing is that please let everybody come together. If everybody in this room can go out and get a petition signed that we want to put on the referendum for the $2 million, then so be it.
No, it was. That's okay.
Ms. Creighton, I'm going to say something. We're taught this in our church. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're in trouble.
That's right. I agree. I totally agree. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have executive session out of this, so we want to kind of complete this citizens address. There's an issue that we need to go into executive session for shortly. Okay. Good.
Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, residents and trustee board and mayor. Okay, I'm confused here. Is Invest in Dolton and BP Capital the same thing, or are they different entities?
The gentleman just stated that there are two different entities, two separate.
So is he in charge of both of them, or?
No.
So, okay, who did we pay the $30,000 to?
We paid it to the attorney Bass.
Okay.
For Invest in Dolton, we've talked about this, for the 6 houses that we are able to raffle off, hopefully real soon, next month.
So who has the 6 houses? We have the 6 houses?
Yes, we have 4 of those titles. We're waiting on 2 more, and then we could have a raffle.
So all that money is coming to Dolton?
It's, what money?
You said we got 6 houses.
We have 4 houses.
We got 4 houses.
We have 4 houses with Invest in Dolton, okay? Right now, we're waiting on 2 other houses, so we'll have a total of 6. That was the $30,000. That's Invest in Dolton. I'll give you a flyer so you can come to our event on the 14th, and that's going to cost $40,000. The Invest in Dolton, the 6 houses, $40,000. BP Capital have its own money to rehab the houses.
So is BP Capital working with Invest in Dolton? Is that what's going on, or how did they even come?
I just explained it to you. Thank you.
You know what? That was totally uncalled for, because see, I'm trying to get an understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
We put you in there, and we will tell you. Know what? You know what? That's right. That was totally uncalled for. That was totally. I have never disrespected.
Sorry,
you know what?
You
know what, people? This is citizens address. We need to. You know what? We need to take our village over. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We need to get our own board. We need to have our voices heard without people getting ignorant with us and trying to belittle us and belittle our members. You know what?
This is what you do at every board meeting.
This is citizen
question and I answer it.
And you're supposed to answer my question. And you are supposed to answer my question until I understand. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I'm done with you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. We paid to put you in that position. You know, you and I, hold on, we had a conversation. It's really up to you to listen to the residents, regardless of how right or wrong they may be. You don't have a right to speak to them in that tone of manner.
What tone are you talking about?
Talking about you.
What tone are you talking about? What tone are you? In order to get respect, you must respect. So I give you all the same respect. Okay? That's what you say. I say different. I say different. Whatever God have for me, I still will work.
That's it. Order right now. We have another speaker, Mr. Creighton.
I always bring God in my
order. That's enough.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, let me just say this to each of you there that are elected officials. You have a difficult job, and I understand the difficulty of the job. I don't think that any of you just walked up and took a position. You were voted in. But now, let me just say this. We voted them in, okay? And I think that each of you sitting there really think that you're making the right decisions, not for yourself, but for the community. Now, one thing that really troubles me is that we never seem to really move forward at the pace that we really need to move forward. And I think what's happened is that I disagree with Ms. Creighton. Okay, I think that, okay, the land bank, if they don't cost anything, maybe you'll reconsider. And the reason I say, let me say this now, the reason I say that maybe you reconsider is because maybe that'll be a point that you all can take and then begin to work together. You know, because I think the world of each of you there. I don't have any hardships with any one of you. If anyone says that I said something terrible or mean or purposely did something to hurt you, you know that person is just lying. That's it. You know, and that's about the strongest language you'll ever hear me say. But what I will say is that we got to move forward. I think a lot of the questions that we have, a lot of concerns, a lot of the things that we're stuck on really need to be surfaced in a budget meeting. You promised that we were going to have that. We're going to have a budget meeting. I'm a firm believer that, yeah, we want to be protected, but that's where your job comes in with the budget to make sure that we're protected and to make sure that every decision that you all make decisions that you really believe in your heart is best for the residents. Now, you know, once again, we don't get along all the time, but you don't see me, Ms. Creighton and I, arguing with each other like this. You know, we don't need to do this.
Not here.
You know, we just really don't need to do this. And I think I'm foolish enough to believe that you all are big enough individuals to put personalities behind you, come together, and say, well, you know what? I may not agree with you on this point, but this is what's best for the residents. And then, you know, listen, now I have to take responsibility because I voted. So now it'd be wrong for me to hold you all responsible for something that I voted on you to do. Now that I got you there, I've got to support you, but you have to be accountable to us. Make the right decision. Put these personalities behind you. You're all great people. I know you love this village. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing this, because I don't think the pay is that much, you know, when you take in consideration all that you have to go through.
It's not bad.
So, you know, once again, I just, let's not continue to go backwards. We got a lot of problems that need to be solved. We voted you all in there because we believe that you can solve them. Now, if it continues, I think then the next election will say whether you're coming back or not. But right now, you're it. Let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting and to go into executive session. Pending litigation. No action will be taken after this meeting, after the executive session. That's it. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn.
Can we have order, please?
Okay.
We just need a motion.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Put a motion to adjourn and seconded. Roll call.
Second was by, I'm sorry.
Second was by Trustee House.
Trustee Muhammad?
Aye.
Trustee Stubbs?
Aye.
Trustee House?
Aye.
Trustee Denton?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Okay. This meeting is adjourned.
Well, it's not.
Yeah, but